Right, recording has started. There we go. Right, okay, so what I'll do is I will start the presentation and we'll take you through that. And okay, everybody can see that. I can just see you, Alan, and can you see it, Al? Yeah, good, cool. Okay, so all you need to know about Aberfeldy Triathlon, but we're afraid to ask. So what we'll do is hopefully we will just play you a short video to whet your appetite.
No sound, Richard.
What's that, Al?
So no sound in the video.
No sound. Okay, just bear with me.
I think you had it there down in the bottom right. If you just click on the little sound icon and then drag it up. Oh, no. So the answer to that question, Stephen, is no, you don't need to bring your own swim caps. They're provided.
Oh, sorry, I was just admitting somebody. Okay, hopefully that's giving you a bit of a flavour of the event. And sorry, apologies. There was a few people I was just admitting into the room there, so it just probably broke the video up a bit. So apologies for that. What I'll do is I'll take you through this presentation. If you can hold sort of any questions, or as I say, pop them into the chat, and then between Alan and I we'll answer those questions. So I'm Richard Pearson. I'm the race director for Aberfeldy Triathlon. I've been involved in the triathlon since 1997, where we first started the event with 27 of us in that first event, and Alan and I were two of those competitors back in 97. And those 27 athletes, the event has grown substantially over the years to us actually getting a record entry in 2014 when we hosted the British Championships for the first time, and we had 750 athletes on the start line. And so normally we would get anywhere between 250 and 500 athletes. Why there's a big gap is obviously the C word that threw us in 2020, and then we've gone through sort of a little bit of a dip, like a lot of events have done in terms of participation, but all signs are now is that we're starting to get back up to the previous levels, which is great. So hopefully this year we're expecting close to 400, I think, on the start line. That's what we're tracking towards at the moment. Might even be a bit more. So just to give you a little bit of logistics around the event and just how it operates. So just as far as registration's concerned, it is a 2-day event. Because of the logistics involved and because of registration and timings, etc., we do require you to register the day before. So there's no registration on event day. What we have done in the past is allow people to pick up to allow people's friends, family to pick up race packs if there is just no way you can get there on the Saturday. But there is very much a caveat on that, in that you must read the athlete guide thoroughly, and the onus is on you to make sure that you know the course, you know the rules, and you have read the athlete guide. So we very much put an emphasis on registering on the Saturday. We have this registration is at the community campus in Aberfeldy, and what we do is normally open registration at 12 o'clock, and that runs through all afternoon, and that allows you to register. It allows you to attend race briefings, and it allows you to do some of the things you need to do on the Saturday, like dropping your T2 kit bag, which I'll explain further through the presentation. So what you'll get in that sort of initial pack when you pick up, you'll get a swim cap that is bespoke and relevant to the event. Your swim cap will be color coded according to your age group, and so we'll group age groups together, and your swim caps will be coded accordingly. You'll obviously get a race number. I would recommend that you bring a race belt, and Alan will probably talk to you a little bit more about kit in his section, but I really would recommend a race belt to allow you to move your race number when you're on the bike and on the run. And we'll give you a sticker sheet with your race numbers on, and those stickers will be applied to your various bags, and your bike and your helmet. And then you'll be given 2 transition bags as well, and I'll come on to transition bags in a bit. So those 2 transition bags, they consist of a wet bag, we call that, which is actually one of the blue IKEA bags, which are fantastic for this sort of a job. And your wet kit bag, what that does is that takes all your basically your T1 kit, but you put all your wet kit after you swim into that bag. Okay, you leave that in your transition area, and we move that. There's a bag movement that we do from T1 and T2, which I'll explain how that works when we go a bit further. You also get a run kit bag, which is a very nice Lomo sort of roll top dry bag, which, as I say, Lomo, our one of our logistics partners, they provide you with that, and that's your bag to take away with you. So that's a good addition to the kit that you get. We normally ask you to T2 is open all afternoon, and it gives you a chance to drop that kit into T2 up till 5 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. There are no access to bags after 5 o'clock because we basically close T2 and then we get security on at 5 o'clock. We can be a little bit flexible with that if you suddenly have a panic on, but the security team, are there to make sure that everything is obviously safe overnight. But so there is a little bit of flexibility. So but we encourage people not to access the bags after that, just to allow us to keep that area secure. So this is a picture of T1, and T1 is down in Kenmore, okay, and so there's plenty of space. It's all on grass. It's a secure area. We hard barrier it all off, and we have our event team there to secure it. So there's no way that non-athletes can get into that area while you guys have got your bikes and all your kit in there. You don't need to rack your bike until race morning, so there's no racking of your bike on the Saturday. So you just bring everything down on race morning in terms of your swim kit and your bike kit. Okay, and as I say, it's Kenmore Recreation Ground is the location of that. T2 is we moved T2 last year into what is called the golf course meadow now, which is there's a location plan on the next slide, so I'll show you that in a minute. And this is where you'll be dropping your T2 kit on the Saturday afternoon. And as you can see, the bags that you get, it's just a roll top bag, and it can clip around the top of your transition area, so it keeps all your kit nice and dry if we get a wet night. But it also keeps it safe. It's the numbers on you are clearly visible in your transition area, so that's all nicely organized in there for you. Okay, so this is the area. So this is the bike core, the B846. This is where you come in into T2. So where the B846 is in the sort of the northwest corner of the slide there, you'll come in to this area here at the top there. Not sure if you can see my cursor, but you come into here, and then we've created this is an area that's been developed now by a local group that it has created a trim trail in there, and there's a 5k trim trail within this area, which is fantastic. Now this T2 area has all been cut really short and now makes a really nice flat transition area. It means that we're taking away that horrible right turn we used to have into T2 where the finish is now, and you've got a nice smooth left turn and a nice easy run out. So the run comes out onto this path here, which is adjacent to the river, and it goes out in the northeasterly direction of the slide there and heads along there. So you're in at one end of the transition area and nicely out of the other. Okay, just to go through the courses there with you. So the swim is a point-to-point swim. So on the morning of the event, you'll come and you will drop your bike into transition, and then you'll make sure that everything is already, all your bike kit and everything in transition, you're comfortable with that, and then start the walk up to Taymouth Marina. That is just under, it's about 800 meters walk from transition there, so a short walk. But what we do recommend is, yes, you're in your wetsuits when you go up there, but take some old flip-flops, trainers or something just for that short walk. We'll have some rubble sacks at the start for you just to dump those in. Don't bring your favorite trainers though, because quite often we're not able to get those back to you. So bring just some scruffy trainers that you're happy that or flip-flops, as I say, that you're happy to discard, not to get back. So it's a 1900 meter swim, and it heads off sort of in a westerly direction off from the start there. The start it's a rolling swim start. So we encourage everybody to, obviously the faster swimmers at the front, and the slower swimmers, position yourself just further back, into the queue, that's into the funnel that's coming down. We have some swim marshals there with sort of timing boards. So there will be sections. So if you're, for example, a 30-minute 1900-meter swimmer, then we'll have a board, and you stand behind that 30-minute board. So we're sort of sub 20 minutes all the way up to 50-minute swim in there. So it's a very simple course. We have obviously turning buoys and intermediate buoys on the course to allow you to sight, and the course itself sends you over to the north bank of the loch, and then you follow a straight line down towards the mouth of the river, and then take a right turn towards the bay, and then there's the little white dots there are moorings, and we send you to the left of the boat moorings onto the beach. When you exit the swim, got somebody else coming in. When you exit the swim, there's a road crossing, and we put a small traffic management system in place there, a stop and go. So we allow you to get across there without much disruption. By the time people are getting to that point, you've fairly spread out the swimmers. So if there is a time then we need to stop you, then we keep that to a minimum. But we do generally on this, we're able to keep the flow across the road into transition pretty smooth. As I said earlier, the swim cap colour defines your age group. So what we do is we split that into junior, senior, vets, and relays. Simple as that. We just bundle people up into those 4 different swim cap colours. What's happened here? There we go. So there's the swim start. You can see the ramp there, just to the left of the old the crannog that's sadly burnt down now. And then this is the finish. So it can be quite shallow depending on the weather that we've had in the build up to the event, but there is you can you can see that these guys here at the back of the swim, they're already starting to walk, but it's not too bad. All this area is a sandy beach until you get to about this area here, and then we what we do is we carpet this whole thing out as far as we can, just to make sure you've got a smooth area for coming out.
Yeah, just before you go on, Richard.
Yes.
Just before you go on, if you come back to that last slide,
yeah,
it is worth mentioning. So what Richard's saying there is race director speak. So when you actually approach the beach, if it is shallow, it is quite a distance to run in. And as he said, it is sandy. And if you look to the guy who's got his hand up, that bit there's all sandy. But as you come into the guy in the blue, that's Andy Turnbull, I think. That from there in, there are quite a few pebbles. So there is a bit of oot-ah as you step on things before the carpet starts. So just be prepared to be careful that you don't stub your toe, or you're in too much of a hurry. You won't gain anything by trying to run over that surface. You'd be, a brisk walk, and then when you get on the carpet, you can start to pick it up to the road and then across into T2. On the swim course, when you start, the main buoy across the far side, there is a really good sighting point in behind it. There's a house sits behind the buoy, just to the left of it, so you can sight off the house rather than having to lift your head right up to look for the buoy. And then when you turn, you can head towards the church on the little spittle just to the left hand side of the beach till you get a little bit closer to the buoy, and then you can sight on the two buoys on the way into the beach. So, you know, if you look in the picture there, you can see that little blue boat to the right-hand side. You'll be over just beyond that promontory, and then coming back across towards where that white boat is, above the kayaker, and then back in from there. So, just a couple of little.
Thanks, Al. Thanks for that. Okay, so just there we go. So just moving on to the bike course. So it is it's just slightly under 90k is the bike course. It obviously it leaves Transition. You head out through the little village of Kenmore over the bridge, and then this is the route you take. You take a right turn, you come up through under Drummond Hill. We'll share the GPX files with you, but they are on the website. I'll send the GPX files out with the presentation for you. So you basically head out. You head towards Loch Rannoch, and then we send you across the Schiehallion Road. There's a steep descent on that section of road that you need to be very, very careful of. It's a technical descent. There's a couple of left-hand sort of not quite hairpin bends, but tight left-hand bends, a couple of tight right bends on that. We have that descent well marshaled, but you should be off your tri bars, covering your brakes, you know, riding it within your own personal, you know, sort of capabilities, and along that descent there. You then come to Rannoch itself, and you go around the loch anti-clockwise. So we send you up the north side of the loch, back down the south side, and then you double back on yourself across the Schiehallion Road again. You'll go up that descent that you came down, and head back across the Schiehallion Road. You then come once you met the main road again, back into Aberfeldy. You can see around about the 80k mark, between the 80 and the 10k mark there. Again, there's a descent, very fast descent there, and really we ask you to be very careful down that descent. It's not as technical as the other one, but it's faster. There's sort of sections of longer downhill on that one. So again, we've got that well marshaled, well covered on that one, but you do need to be careful on that. And then it's a straight run back into back towards Aberfeldy and back to T2. Okay.
Has everybody ridden the course before, or are there people who've never seen it before? If you want to just stick some replies in chat for us.
Yeah.
I've ridden it before. Sorry.
Yeah. You've seen it before, so you know what Richard's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I would describe it as a challenging course rather than an overly technical course. So there you go. Never seen it. Never first time. Okay. So what Richard's described, I'll just grab some time here, Richard, and just talk this through.
On,
right. So when you leave Transition 2, you go through the village, and then once you're through the village, there is a set of traffic lights, but those will be marshalled, Richard, yeah, and you'll get straight through those.
Yeah.
On the bridge, so you don't need to stop. But immediately after those traffic lights, you're taking a right-hand turn. So what you need to make sure you do is don't cut the corner, because if you cut the corner, you're then on the wrong side of the road, which will get you a penalty. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've been there. I've been that soldier, and I've had the penalty. So, so once you're on that road, it's a really nice it's a nice stretch along the base of Drummond Hill, along by the golf course, out towards the base of the Chalet and climb. There's nothing technical. It can be wet, and if it is wet, just be careful if you're going to be pedaling through puddles. So try your best to avoid pedaling through puddles, just in case there's something underneath the puddle that's maybe going to give you a bit of a bump. When you get to the bottom of the climb, my advice would be take the climb, unless you're chasing the front end of the field, take the climb nice and steady, right? Because it does last 4.5 miles, Richard.
Yeah, up to the turn. Yeah.
So there's nothing hard about that. There's nothing technical about it. You just have to be able to keep pedaling quite hard. When you get up onto the Braes of Foss, coming across, the sort of faster riders, you do need to be aware that there are a couple of little catch points on that road as well. So if you're hammering along about 80 kilometres an hour, there are a couple of tight pieces where there's little bridges where the road narrows. Now the road is open to traffic. So if you're going to hit one of these narrow sections, and there is a car coming, you have to negotiate that properly. So you need to be looking up the road to check what's heading your way. When you get across, all the way across that sort of plateau, you come to that technical descent that Richard is talking about. Now, you have to make sure that you tackle that at the speed that you can negotiate safely. So I've come round the top bend a couple of times and been up the banking, and managed to do a little bit of cyclocross malarkey and get myself back on the road. So you can't be going fast enough to be in your tri-bars. And as you come down the descent, it opens up. So the little turns at the top then open out, and there's a really fast straight section which goes straight down, right? But it's in the trees. So if you're wearing dark glasses and it's in the shade, you need to be aware that it's going to get a little bit dark. So what you maybe want to do is just drop your glasses off your nose a little bit so that you can actually see where you're going. Because again, there's no guarantee that the surface is going to be pothole free or branch free or leaf free. So you do have to exercise a bit of caution. But you can, on the bottom of that slope, get back on your tri-bars fairly quickly and carry a bit of speed off the bottom. But I wouldn't advise unless you're super confident that you're in the skis coming down that fast section either.
Yeah.
Round Loch Rannoch is pretty straightforward, but it is undulating. I think I would describe it as there's a few little cheeky little gradients. They're not hills or climbs as such, but you will find yourself needing lower gears. And at the top end of the loch, there's a little climb up to the feed station. Yeah. Which is a little bit tasty at that point of the day. And then along the south side of the loch is really, really nice, really beautiful. Loch on your left-hand side. And as you come along, you'll see the McDonald's hotel across the other side. So that's you knowing that you're going to be near the end of the loch. And just before you as you're coming in, there is a little right-hander that you have to take. Now, I know that people have missed it in the past. It is marshalled, but just be aware as you come to the end of the loch, you're not going into the village. You're taking the right-hander to head back up the climb on the Shalin Road.
Yeah.
Now the climb on the Shalin Road doesn't take too long, but you do need to have the right gearing to get up it. And quite frequently, if you're spectating at that point, you'll see a lot of people out the saddle, and you will see people off and walking. Once you're up over that, it's pretty much plain sailing, and you're still climbing a little bit at that point. But then when you come onto the main drop down into Fortingall, as Richard said, that is a really, really fast section. There is one bend in particular that you can take it in your skis. However, there's a camber on that turn. So unless you're prepared to lean the bike over at speed to get round that bend, my advice would be just for 10 seconds, just down onto your hoods, negotiate that bend, and then get back on it after that. Don't take the chance of getting spat onto the wrong side of the road, because if there's a car coming, the consequences are pretty dire.
Yeah, yeah.
Once you're down off the descent, it's a lovely flat 10-mile-ish, 10k-ish back to Aberfeldy.
Yeah.
And again, really nice bit of riding.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of questions there. The whole route marshalled. All the pinch points, all the turns are all marshalled, yes.
Yeah.
The main climb going out the way is about, I think it's between 4 and 6%.
Yeah, that's about right, Al. Yeah.
It's probably about 14 in places.
Yeah.
There's 2 sections that'll be about 14, 15%. And cattle grids, the cattle grids are open, I think.
They're covered. They're all covered. We put a really good covering of hardboard on the 2 cattle grids that are across there now, because they were new cattle grids put in a couple of years ago. And Attack Caledonia, that's another sportive, we share the road coverings with the cattle grid coverings with them. So it's good coverings. They're really hard, cable tied down. They're a good and they've got slip resistant on them as well. They've been done properly, and so we cover them. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Al. Okay, for that. Just to tell you that there are actually 3 feed there are 2 feed stations, but one of them you visit twice. Okay. It's a bottle exchange. We have 750 ml. Sorry, we don't. We have 500 ml bottles, spike bottles on the courses. So basically, you switch those bottles over when you come into the feed station. So you slow down as you're coming into the aid station, call out to the aid station crew what you want, just drop your bottle into the drop zone, and then pick up the bottle of whatever you're needing. We have energy drink and water in those bottles. The energy drink is Active Root. If you want to try it before you use it on race day, then just go onto their website, and they've got these trial packs that you can try as well. We're hoping to get a discount code for you. I've been trying to chase that today. Hopefully by the time I send out all the information after this, we'll have that discount code for you, and we'll be able to issue that, and you've got a little discount code for any Active Route. I'll update I've just realized that this slide is slightly outdated. I must have totally missed this in terms of the mileage, the kilometer markers of those aid stations, but I'll change those and get those. So the feed stations also have energy drink, water, bananas, gels, and energy bars out on the aid stations. Yeah. Okay. So just on the run course, so when you come into transition, you'll obviously rack your bike, keep your helmet on until you've racked your bike, and then remove your helmet, running shoes on, and then, as I showed you in the previous slide on where transition is, you'll head out of the bottom end of transition onto the run. So the first part of the run is on like a cinder track, which takes you. It's a lovely start to the run because you run along the right close to the banks of the Tay, and then so it's a sort of cinder footpath track, and then you'll come. There's a little gap in a wall that has got steps, but just recently they've actually made it. They've made a little ramp up there, so recumbent bikes and adaptability bikes and wheelchairs can get up. So they've made this little ramp now, and so you can actually avoid the steps through the wall and then onto the road, and then you're onto a tarmac road all the way on the and you stick to that tarmac surface all the way. There's no off road after you've done that first section. So the route takes you literally along the north side of the river, and you're just following the river all the way down to Strathty. And it's a little triangular point that you do in the village of Strathty, that you go down, and you take a right turn, and then you take a sharp left turn at the bottom of the hill, and you then join the Pitnacree Road again, and you head out to a dead turn along that road, and it's a straightforward out and back. There are 3 feed stations on the route, and obviously you meet those twice as you're on the route. So I'll just mark those up for you. I'll have to go back. So they are at, the first one's at 3K, and then the next one will be at 7K, and then the next one is at 11K, and you get that just before the turn. Sorry, 10K, that's right, just before the turnaround point. So you get the opportunity to meet that one twice. It's fairly close together as that one, but you do get the opportunity to meet that twice, and then you've got those on the way back as you're going back along the out and back. On the run course, again, you've got water, you've got energy drink, we've got gels, and we've got sweets out on the we've got sports gummies, we've got jelly babies, and we've also got flat Coke on the run as well. And what we're asking everybody to do, we introduced this a couple of years ago, and I would say about 40% of the athletes now are using their own soft, one of these soft cups. Things like Solomon do them, and some of the other outdoor companies provide them, and they're a small 150ml cup that can, the squashy cups that can push down the side of your tri-suit, and or your number belt, pushing right down your number belt. And when you get to the feed stations, then the feed station staff have got water and energy drink in jugs. They can fill that up for you. We're trying to cut down on waste in terms of those single-use plastics that we've got. We've tried compostable cups and to go down a sustainability route as much as we can. And as I say, about 40% of athletes last year all used the cups. What we're saying is, we're not saying there aren't any cups at the aid stations, but what we are saying that we are reducing cups to try and cut back on that waste. We eventually would love to get to the point where there's no cups on the aid stations and everybody's using their own flask. But we will be pushing that out through the athlete comms, through the social posts that we're putting out in the build up to the event. We ask people to run on the right at all times on the run course. So again, the run course is well marshaled at all the decision points, all the tricky points. It's all well marshaled on there, and it's well signed. We also put as Alan said earlier regarding the bike course, it's exactly the same on the run course. It's open roads, but it is a quiet road as that, and we do have we've put in a temporary traffic restriction order where traffic can there's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit along the whole of that road, and that there's traffic warning signs all along there telling people that it's a 20-mile-an-hour restriction along there. We also do quite a lot of local comms down there, just so everybody, all the farmers, all the estates that operate down that road know that we're coming through. So a lot of people stay off the road during that time. Yeah. Anything you want to mention on the run, Al?
Yeah, just one thing, but just before that, there's a couple of questions. So if you look at the chat, so I'll take the easy one, and you can take the hard one. So Stephen's asking, he's wet. The answer to that question is a resounding yes, because if you don't, you would have to be naked in transition, which I don't think is acceptable. And in terms of speed and comfort, if your tri-suit fits you properly, it's by far the easiest and most comfortable way of completing the race is having the tri-suit on under the wetsuit. So Rachel's asking, how strict are the time limits?
Good question. So the cut-offs, so it's a Triathlon Scotland sanctioned event, and the chief referee will impose the cut-offs. They'll be there across the three different areas. So yes, they're strict, but there is a little bit of flexibility in there that we can let people go as long as the knock-on effect, in other words, that we feel that we can still keep the bike course or the run course safe after that. So there's a little bit of flexibility, but again, we work with the Triathlon Scotland chief technical official on those.
Yeah. So the other thing that's quite important is if you're thinking about specifically the swim cut-off, and if it's a particularly cold day, and if you're in the water a long time, you might find that there is potential for people to be quite cold by the time they exit the water. So, for example, if you're in the water for about 50 minutes, you can come out and you can be starting to become slightly hypothermic. So, if you were going to be close to the cut-off time, one of the judgment calls that the referee would make would be that you were safe to proceed. So, if you come up the beach and you're staggering about a little bit, there's a fair chance that if you're over the cut-off time, you're not going to get to continue. Yeah.
And we'll be keeping a close eye on you that anyway. And so even if you weren't close to the cutoff and you were still reacting like that, then as Al says, we would be keeping a close eye on you at that point. Just for information, just for water temperature, I guess back in when we first sort of went open water with this event, we were lucky to get water temperatures about between 12 and 15 degrees. Over the years, we've managed, like last year we got it up to 17 degrees last year, and so we can expect anything in Loch Tay to between 15 and 18 degrees. That's sort of the temperature these days for Loch Tay. Loch Tay is a very deep loch, and it's a it feeds in for a dam at the top end of the loch, so it's a deep loch with a lot of water in it. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So there's another question there, Richard, about the timing. What time the aquathon starts?
Okay. So the
try.
Yep. So the so is that the aqua bike? Yeah, the aqua bike. Is that the aqua bike, Al? Are they asking for that one?
Aquathon. The aqua bike's the same start time as the triathlon.
Yeah. Yeah, so with the aqua bike, if you're doing the aqua bike, it's obviously you will, once you've racked your bike, you will at the moment what we're planning to do, because the finish line is across the road, we haven't quite worked out yet whether we're going to get the aqua bikes to come into the finish and you actually just cross the finish line on your bike yet, or whether we're going to put just a short run in from T2 to the finish. It'll be 300 meters, if that. So I think that's what we're probably going to do at the moment for that. But yeah, as Al says, it starts exactly the same time as the triathlon. Just when you finish your bike, and we'll put those instructions out through social media in plenty of time, and in the athlete guide, obviously. But you will finish over the finish line in the field over the other side of the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other
All right,
questions in the chat, Al?
Yeah, there's another one there. Yeah. So Jenny's asking, are the cut-off times for entry to transition or exit from transition?
From exit from transition. So you have, for example, for the swim, you have an hour and 10 minutes, and that is to complete your swim and get to bike out. So you've got an hour and 10 minutes. So it's always based on exit of transition. Yeah.
There you go. All right. So just on the run then, the run is lovely. There's nothing particularly difficult about the run. Richard talks about the little triangle at the far end of the course.
Yeah.
Where you're going into the village, the right hand turn and the left hand turn. So the key word they mentioned there was you take a right hand down the hill, which means that what goes down must come back up again. So just be prepared to. There you go. Someone's asking about 2.5 hours to get to the halfway point in the run. When you get to that, where the halfway point's going to be, you've gone down, so you will be coming back up a little rise. That really is the only significant piece of climbing on the whole of the run course. It really is a lovely, flat, scenic, the rivers at your side the whole time, beautiful trees, flowers, birdies tweeting in the undergrowth and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's the run is pretty straightforward. The feed stations are very frequent, well manned, and plentiful.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about your nutrition, and this kind of applies to the bike as well, you don't need to carry all of your nutrition with you, so you can pick up everything you need on both the bike and the run course. It just depends on what you've practiced in training. So you should be practicing your fueling strategy when you're out doing longer sessions. If you don't practice it in training, there is a real chance that your guts will react badly to whatever you feed it on race day, and it can be a fairly unpleasant experience in different ways. So it's entirely up to yourself what your strategy is going to be. But whatever it is, I would suggest that if you're going to wing it and just use what Richard's providing in the course, try and get hold of it. So Active Root is the energy drink. It's very, very pleasant. It's quite easy in the stomach. You can take quantities if you have to. If you're used to eating solid food, if that's what you've practiced, then you've got bars and bananas and all that sort of stuff. So you can pick them up. But if you have your own special, I have to have this particular brand of gel, whatever, then yeah, you do need to carry them with you. And you need to have that. You need to practice doing that in training as well. So if you've got a race belt that's got a pouch for gels, if you've got a race belt that's got, space for plastic flasks, all that sort of good stuff, then use it in training. Whatever you're going to do in race day, practice in training.
Yeah. Jolly good. Thanks, Al. Okay, so just to let you know as well that we've got a relay chat. There's a relay option there as well, and the Tempest guys have kindly we've partnered up with them, and they're going to sponsor the relay championships again this year. So it's fantastic. They're doing really well. They do some really nice kit there. If you're a member of a club and you want club kit, then I recommend that you have a word with it. Excuse me. You have a word with the Tempest guys. They just in terms of the relays that we. I guess I'll cover this briefly because I think most of you are looking to do this as a solo, but there is if you're a team of, you can do it as a team of 2 or a team of 3. The swim to bike, we get the swimmer, so the cyclist is waiting in the transition area. The swimmer comes in, the wetsuit's off before the cyclist can leave. The timing chip, which is an ankle chip, is passed on to the cyclist. Cyclist puts the timing chip on, helmet on, gets his bike, and then off he goes. He or she goes onto the bike course. And then bike to run. Runners gather in the relay changeover pen that we've got in transition. And so the cyclist comes in, racks their bike, and then runs to the changeover, and then they swap the timing chip over, and off the runner goes. So, as I say, it can be a team of 2 or a team of 3 in the relays. Just if any of you are thinking about the Triathlon Scotland with the Triathlon Scotland Middle Distance Championships, so just to be clear there, you need to be a Triathlon Scotland core or ultimate member to be eligible to place in the Scottish Championships. So make sure your membership is up to date. You've got until the Wednesday before the event to make sure that you've got your membership, because what I do is I submit the race list to Triathlon Scotland. They check it, and then they'll contact you if there's an issue with your Triathlon Scotland membership, whether it's out of date, whether we've just got a misplaced number. They'll do all that checking. So we've got, for the championship eligibility, we've got everything right there. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to hand over to Alan to sort of go through a bit of training and preparation sort of part of this. But I'm just going to stop sharing, just check that. Is there anything else? Because when I'm sharing like that, I can't see the chat, Al.
Okay. All right. Good. You can see the chat now. So there's a couple of questions at the end, just there that are not answered yet, Richard. Just the last 2. So okay. 7 o'clock start. So the cut off, you've got to be finished the bike within 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
From you crossing the timing mark. Yep.
Yeah. So that's from the start of the race, not from the start of the bike.
No, that's right. From the start of the race. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you've got until 12:30 to get off your bike.
Yeah.
And then the run times are much slacker, because by that stage everybody's kind of off their bikes and everybody's on the run course. It's easier for the marshals and the race crew to keep everybody, to keep tabs on people at that point. So what we don't want is people getting hypothermic in the water, and people being out in the countryside on the bike, having to leave marshals out for long periods of time. So the fact that people are asking about the cut-offs is quite instructive, because that would suggest that we've got quite a few people on who have either never done this particular race before, or who are maybe stepping up to the half distance for the first time. Would that be right?
Is that be right?
Just give us a... Yeah. Are most people kind of thinking about making it round or tackling the event for the first time.
Okay.
We haven't got anyone on who's thinking about, well, I've already checked the names, so I already know that that's probably unlikely.
Okay.
Rachel, yeah, yes, I think it's only me asking. Okay, right. So with that in mind, when you're tackling something that's a bit bigger than you would normally, or a bit more high end than you would normally tackle, what you have to do is you have to break down the task in hand. So we talk about triathlon as being swim, bike, run. It's those components, but it flows together. So it isn't just as simple as saying, oh, I need to be able to swim 1900 meters, and I need to be able to swim. I need to be able to ride 90k, and I need to be able to run a half marathon. You have to be able to complete all of those sections one after the other. That might seem quite obvious, but you could get someone who is a really good runner, but they just don't have the leg strength to be able to pedal the bike up the hills. So you can see someone who is, maybe taking it slightly lightly, thinking, I'll make loads of time up in the run. The chances are you may not. So you have to be thinking about, in terms of a 1900 meter swim is going to be roughly, for most people, 2,500 arm strokes. And then the bike, if you're pedaling at 90 revs and you're out for 3 hours, you can do the maths on that. So that's like, what's that? 3 hours, 180 minutes times 90. It's a lot of pedal revs. So you have to basically condition yourselves to be able to complete those tasks. Now, you don't have to condition yourself to complete them particularly quickly, but then that's down to your own ambition level as to, you maybe done the race before, you want to set a PB, then your training needs to be slightly more arduous than if maybe you're just taking part just for the fun and just to get round. So there you go. Sean says, moving from one Olympic years ago, and an absolute struggle with first event in 3 sprints, so a bit of a jump up. Okay, so the jump up from sprint to half distance or middle distance is quite a big jump. The jump from an Olympic distance to the half distance isn't quite such a jump. Obviously, it is longer, but once you've tackled an Olympic distance, you're in the way of being able to sustain, reasonably good endurance. A sprint is, by its very nature, over quite quickly. So in terms of training, if you've been prepped for short events and you've got a bit of a background, you will need to step up the volume of training. And again, it depends. So generic advice is pretty hard to do. But what I would suggest for this particular race, if you want to be reasonably comfortable across all 3 disciplines, you need to get most weeks, not every week because life gets in the way, but if you can, 3 swims, 3 rides and 3 runs every week between now and the event. Now, the length and the speed or the duration of the arduousness, different elements, is dependent on what your current ability level is. So if you were Scottish freestyle champion at under 14, you can probably skip a couple of swims because that muscle memory is ingrained and it won't be your weakness. But for most people who are coming to the sport as an adult, there are most people, probably about 80 or 90% of people, were not swimmers as youth, and the swim tends to be the thing that terrifies the life out of people when they're in cold, dark water. But if you've prepped yourself to be able to just to keep moving, then there's less anxiety that you can actually swim the distance. And there's nothing wrong with having a little breather on your way around the swim if you want to take a few few moments just to breaststroke and have a good look at the scenery, that's perfect. That's, you know, that can be a better experience than having your head down and battering away at the front end of the field. So that would be generically, I would say, get that sort of frequency of training. Doesn't need to be mega long. You know, you don't need to be going out and doing five-hour bike rides. That's just stupidity. Because if you're not used to doing that and you go and do it, you probably won't manage any training until about Wednesday in that week. So the key is being consistent about applying the things that you need to learn. So learning how to pedal the bike for long periods of time with, you know, wearing the kit you're going to wear on race day. So nothing worse than turning up with a brand new tri-suit, tackling your first and you get chafed within the first 15 minutes. It makes life uncomfortable for the rest of the day. There you go. Top tip for the swim is learning to breathe both sides, because the wind can sometimes mean it's a little wavy, and being able to breathe away from the wind wave is a game changer. Spot on, Emma.
Yeah.
Spot on. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to bilaterally breathe. That just means that you have to be able to breathe to both sides.
Yeah.
So bilateral breathing, yeah, it's good. It encourages balance in your stroke. But if you can only breathe to one side and the chop is coming in from that side, it makes life quite difficult. And there are a lot of people who will claim that they can't breathe to the opposite side. Psychologically, in their head, they have got to that point where it's difficult for them to try and break the habit. But it's an untrue statement that people cannot breathe to the other side. They just haven't managed to crack it. So if you are someone who is a single-sided breather, Emma's advice is very good. Start learning how to breathe to the other side. Okay.
Just on the swim, just to reassure everybody that the swim safety cover is robust on the swim, and we have lots of paddlers out there looking after you. Even though, as you can see, it's a rolling start, and you are, you know, you're stretched out over those 1900 meters. We've got a strong safety crew out there who know what they're doing. We use them regularly across all our events, and then we've got 3 safety boats, and those safety boats are crewed 2-man safety boats. And so if you get into difficulty at all, then a paddler will come across, will support you until the safety boat comes across and assesses you, and then we'll get you to the extract point. And if you need medical assistance, you've got medical assistance. Yeah.
There you go. Emma's saying you do feel super safe. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So it's kind of difficult to kind of give like a kind of broad brush approach, but if you've got anything that's rusty or you haven't managed to practice yet, so if you've got something that you think is a bit of a weakness, try and spend as much time as you possibly can working on that weakness. So Emma's point's good. If you can only breathe to one side, that's one thing you could work on. If you're a bit nervous on descents, then go and find yourself a friendly descent and practice descending. So what we would call session the descent. So get someone who maybe knows what they're doing to show you how to corner properly, how to corner at speed, where to actually have your hands sitting, how to distribute your weight on the bike, all that sort of stuff. Those are things that will just build your confidence and make for a much better experience. The one thing I would say is, do not try anything new on race day. Mm-hmm. So don't turn up breaking in a new pair of training shoes. Don't try different nutrition. Don't wear a new tri-suit. Don't try any, new tricks that someone told you 3 days before the race. This is what I do on race day, and then you deploy that. You've never tried it before. It's not going to go well. Pretty much 99%, it ain't going to go well. So we've got plenty of time between now and race day. So general rule of thumb, if you've got a reasonable level of fitness, a build up for a half should take you somewhere between 12 and 16 weeks, which we've got. If you're coming from a higher level, do it in less time. Obviously, I've got a couple of pals who could turn up and just start training 6 weeks out and be perfectly fine, and they'll be at the sharp end of the race as well. But they are training all the time, and they've got 20 years worth of experience in their legs and in their brains. If you're someone who hasn't done much over the winter, then you've got a slightly more difficult proposition that you're going to have to try and ramp your training from now. And that's okay. You can only do what you can do. But one thing I would suggest, the swimming is fine. Risk of injury in swimming, unless you've got a really appalling stroke, is reasonably low. Most common injuries are all in and around the shoulders, but that tends to mean your technique's bad to cause shoulder impingement. But on the run, if you're increasing your run distance, my advice would be very simple, very old school. Don't increase your run volume by any more than 10% in any 1 week. And don't increase your long run distance by any more than 10% in any 1 week. Right. So if you go away and do the arithmetic on that, you're training to run 21 kilometers, so you want to be able to cover that distance. Psychologically, it's quite good that you've covered it. You don't necessarily need to go over distance. You can, but you don't have to. But if you're going to do a build from, I don't know, let's say 10k a week, it's going to take you 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and a half, 15. It's going to take you about 12 weeks to get to 21k if you're currently at 10k, and that's 21k in a week. All right. So if you're a little bit late to the party, just build that ramp slowly. Don't force it. And my advice would be, do your hard work in the pool and on the bike, and do all of your running, pretty much all of your running. Do it easy. Do it aerobically. Because the chances are, whoever said that the run course doesn't feel flat, right? When you get off the bike, it might feel like it's uphill even when it's not uphill. So you're not, unless you're kind of more towards the front end of the race, you're not going to be running anywhere near your threshold. You're going to be sub-threshold the whole time. So you don't need to train your body's systems to be able to operate in those fuel systems. So what you want to do is you want to be super aerobic, and if you do that, you will be much more consistent. You will have less DOMs, you will be less at risk of injury, and the chances are your training will be much more consistent. Now, the truth of the matter is, if you've got an injury, that's a bit of a problem. However, you can still do full distance triathlons with not a lot of running. Right, so don't panic if your training doesn't go exactly the way you hope it's going to go. You'll be absolutely fine. You just might not be as quick as you hoped, but hey, that's just as it goes. You'll just need to try again next year. Yeah. Anybody get any questions?
You're talking about training and all that there, and my training's been going really well. Everything's been working out fine. Away go-kart at the weekend, and I've cracked my ribs, so absolutely gutted with that. So I'm looking at maybe
Right, okay.
4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks out or something like that. So I should be fine, because my fitness is all right, but I was getting really good, but now it's just a bit of a setback after the weekend. So I've still got, I don't know how many months is that, maybe 4 months or something.
All right,
full on training.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
Yeah, so the chances are it's going to take you probably 6 weeks until you're completely like pain-free. Yeah, just depends on how you've cracked them. With cracked ribs, there's no reason why you can't sit on the turbo.
Right.
Yeah.
That shouldn't hold you back. So I had a mountain bike accident a number of years ago, and I broke my arm in 3 places. And I missed one shift at work, and I was back on the turbo 2 days later. One arm in a sling, one hand on the handlebars, carrying on. So there are things you can do. You might find running won't be possible to start with because the jarring will just be too sore. Swimming might be a bit of a struggle, just depending on how well you move in the water. You might find the swimming might be okay. The only thing you can do there is go try it, but give yourself a bit of time and don't panic. Keep up the work on the bike, on the turbo.
Yeah.
If you've not got a turbo, walk bike, the local leisure centre, whatever. Just keep your legs turning. You can keep your bike training up, and then you can maybe substitute bike sessions for run sessions. You can still do lower limb strength and conditioning work, without any impact on the ribs as well. So it's now a sort of, what you can do. There you go. Someone else brought the ribs. It was 6 weeks. So once you get to 6 weeks, you should be fine. You're far enough out to be fair enough, right? What have we got here? There's some questions.
You've got one from,
I haven't signed up yet, so I'm not sure if you might.
Yeah.
For the bike.
Yeah.
All right. Feel okay with swim and run. Fairly new to road biking and don't totally know how to train it other than mileage and hills. Right. Okay. So Ailey's asking that question. It depends on fundamentally what resources you've got available. Do you have an indoor trainer? Do you have a turbo trainer? Do you have power, or are you just?
No, very much just have a road bike.
Okay.
Right. Okay. You got heart rate monitor?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got 3 options for bike training, right? And one of them, which would be my preferred option, is that you run some sort of power measuring device on your bike. Now that's easy to do indoors, and most people can do that, either using an indoor trainer or a walk bike. But if you don't have access to that, then you're down to the more old school methods. So heart rate, training by heart rate, or training by PE. Okay, so what you want to be doing is if you've got the ability time wise to do 3 bikes a week, the way you would structure that is, and the way I structure it for most of my guys is, you bike Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. All right. Now your Saturday ride is your long endurance ride, and then the 2 rides earlier in the week, what you want to do is you want to try and target specific adaptations on different systems in the body, right? So what we don't want is, we don't want everything to be done at the same level. We're looking for a little bit of variety in the stimulus that we're applying. So the training process is, you apply stimulus, basically cause yourself a bit of damage, recover from it, and then get stronger as a result. So the muscle fibers tear down, rebuild, and then get result. So you're going to be training on heart rate. So what you need to do is you need to establish what your heart rate zones are, and there are numerous different ways of doing that. Quick Google search will tell you pretty much everything you need to know. There are various different ways of categorizing heart rate and RPE. What I would advise, if you're new to it, is go figure out a 3-zone model. All right, so zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. And the general rule is you spend most of your time in zone 1. So 80-90% of training is just that aerobic endurance building component. And then 10 to 15% working on zone 3. So the categorization is, zone 1 is basically fully aerobic. Zone 2 is in the middle, right up to your threshold. And zone 3 is your threshold and above. So threshold and above, hard sprinty efforts, longer duration, 3-4 minute anaerobic tolerance stuff, that type of thing. And if you apply the stimulus at both ends, what will happen is your strength will come up and therefore you will get faster. So that's one element. The other element is you can, and I see this all the time, you get people who are super strong, putting out big power numbers indoors, and they get outside and they are so slow. Right? And the reason they're slow is because they don't know how to ride their bike in the real world. So the other component is you need to get outside and ride your bike. So again, practicing with your gears, practicing cornering, practicing coming to a dead stop and being comfortable to either track stand or be able to unclip your foot quickly, that type of thing. So if you've got a friendly neighbourhood cycling club, you know, you can maybe say to them, look, can you give me a little bit of input as to, we do it in Glasgow. We've had quite a few people come along after the kids session on a Saturday, and anything from teaching them how to actually clip in and clip out, teaching people how to hold the handlebars, how not to get tense, how not to get you know, what position they're sitting in, how they're pedaling, all that sort of stuff. So there's loads of little things you can do, but fundamentally it's practicing. Yeah. Does that answer it?
Yeah, very much. Thank you. It translates a lot
Okay.
from the running side, doesn't it? But just a whole new thing for me.
Yeah.
The principles are exactly the same, Ailey. You know, if you've done any run training, you know, you're not going to go and do track intervals on a Tuesday and hill reps on a Thursday, right? Well, you can if you like, but one or other of those sessions isn't going to be the session it's designed to be. So you'll end up doing a half-hearted second session. So you need to make sure that the sessions are structured in such a way that you're not going to be, for example, I'm going out on my bike on Saturday, I'm going to do 5 hours with the local chain gang, and then I can't walk for 3 days. Yeah. Been there, got that t-shirt.
Yes, yeah. Al, we've got a couple of other questions just jumped in here. When doing combo training off the bike run, does the 10% increase in both of these apply too?
Right. So when you talk about combo training, you're talking about running immediately after the bike. It's what we would term a brick session.
A brick session.
Yeah. So again, your brick sessions, I would advise, don't do long brick sessions. Right? They're very sore and they take a long time to recover from. So what I would advise you do is to fit 3 runs in. The way I would typically do it is on an easier day, you would have an easier run, potentially with some small intervals in that session. One run off the bike that I would term as a transition run. So it's just to get you used to coming off a bike and then being able to run and not run like Bambi. And it doesn't take long for your legs to start to get good at that. And what you will find is you might actually end up running better off the bike than you do normally because you're warmed up. So in terms of the 10%, your run is total volume for the week. So if you did typically if I'm doing a short transition run off the bike, it'll be anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes, no longer than that. And most of the time it's a 30-minute aerobic run off the bike. The harder stuff on the run you would do not immediately after the bike. So the 10% increase applies to your total run volume across the week and on your long run only. So if you've done a 3K run bike, a 5K run midweek, and a 18-kilometre run at the weekend, then that's 26K. So your following week doesn't want to be any more than 27. Is that right? 26? No, 2.7, 28, 29 kilometres. And your long run doesn't want to be any more than 20 the following week. Now, what you'll find is that some weeks, if you're on a ramp with your run, you'll get to a point where you think, Oh, I just don't have 20 kilometres in me tomorrow. That's fine. Just step it back. Just step it back. It's fine. All right.
Okay.
So swim, bike.
Yeah. So we've introduced the aqua bike this year. It's I guess it's one of those things that we've been talking about internally in that, and it's probably come from me because my knees don't allow me to run like I used to do, and it made me, and we've seen quite a few other sort of other more comments coming through saying, what about an aqua bike? So we've tried it this year. It'll operate very much as the same, so it'll be the rolling start for the swim, so you'll position yourself exactly the same for the swim, and this will apply the same cutoffs, but you'll just finish after the bike. What we just haven't quite nailed down yet within the team, but we will let people know in plenty of time, is just when you finish, you'll obviously finish in the transition area, and then we want you to obviously cross the finish line to get that finish line experience. And so there may be just a short 200-meter run from transition to 300-meter run from transition to the finish line. So yeah.
Just what
it's a great option. Not everyone loves running. Running's the devil's work, Emma. It's the devil's work. To tell you any different.
I literally only do it because it's a third of triathlon, and I'm like, yes, it's finally an option to stop after.
Swimming's king. I take swimming over running any day.
Swimming's king. There you go. So it's really funny actually, because like people's views on what they like the best can change.
Yeah.
So many years ago, I was a football player, but then I ended up doing mountain bike racing, and then I was a runner. So when I started doing triathlon, I hated swimming, and I love it. I just love swimming. I mean, I'm in the pool most days of the week. I'm either swimming myself or I'm in doing one-to-one sessions with people, and I'm still swimming. I'm swimming under them and watching them and doing all that sort of stuff. So if you'd have said that to me 30 years ago, I would have laughed.
Yeah.
So I used to enjoy coming out to swim really near the back of the field and then mowing people down on the bike and then hanging on for grim death on the run. And then it switched round that you actually had to hang about a little bit at the front because there was nobody to play with. So you had to kind of slow down a little bit, and then the same applies. You've still got the herd of wildebeest chasing you on the run.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody's got their favourite parts.
Yeah.
And one of the pitfalls that I've seen many times is the people have got a favourite part, so they spend most of their time playing with their favourite part, which is completely the opposite of what you should do. So, if you're going to get more gains by focusing on your weaknesses than you are on your strengths, you still need to maintain your strengths. But, for example, the gentleman who shall remain nameless used to run 5-6 times a week because that was what he did. He was a runner. And then he used to wonder why he never got anywhere. And then the minute he twigged that he had to spend more time on his bike, he became quite a good athlete because he had a really, really good engine. But back to my earlier point, he didn't have the leg strength to be able to pedal the bike.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic CV system, couldn't put the power out in the bike. He's now got thighs. He's now got thighs like that German cyclist, right enough. So
yeah. No, I found that when I transitioned from when I first got into triathlon myself, I came from a swimming running background and mainly a running. I've become more of a runner, more of a marathon runner, and I found exactly that I didn't have the strength on the bike. It took me a good couple of years to get any strength really as a cyclist to be able to do, sort of this middle to long distance. Yeah. What we'll do is we'll just take a quick pause, and I've got we'll do the draw for the Lomo bundle, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about the Triathlonworkx packages. So what I did was I gave, when I downloaded all your information off once you'd entered, I gave you all a unique number, and then we did a random number selector on one of these apps on the phone. And for the Lomo bundle, Emma, you've won the Lomo bundle. So I'll get that sent out to you. I think I've got all your details. What's that, Al?
Who won the Lomo bundle?
Emma. Emma's got the Lomo bundle.
I never win anything, especially triathlons. So that's amazing. Thank you.
So there's a swim cap, there's a pair of Lomo goggles in there, there's a bag, a dry bag in there. So we'll get that all packed up and we'll get that sent off to you. And then Al, do you want to mention just before we do the draw for the Triathlonworkx Coaching package? Do you want to say a little bit about that?
You mean in terms of the prize?
Yeah.
In terms of the prize, yeah. So we're saying that pretty much from now, if the winner wants it, we would look after you, just give you our full coaching attention from now till the event. We've got three different levels of support that we offer, and like they vary in time input and they vary in cost, but essentially everything is done on an online training platform called Training Peaks, and then it's just degrees of how much contact at one-to-one time. We do weekly calls, all that sort of stuff. It's all detailed on the website. So the package that we're giving away to someone is what we call our platinum package. So it comes with Training Peaks premium account. You get access, hot and cold running access to the coach, and basically we will pester the life out of you, support you, cajole you, cuddle you, whatever it takes to get you to have a great day when you get to the event. So yeah, that's what's on offer. Excellent. Now I'm not entirely sure which one of my coaches it will be, whether it will be me or Sean. That will depend on, because what we do is we have an initial consultation, so we find out a little bit more about you, what your level is, what your needs are, where you're at, and that would dictate which coach you get, because there is a little bit of coaching style and personality in there, and we are quite different. The principles are exactly the same, the tools we use are exactly the same. It's just that Sean's much nicer than me. That's all it is.
Oh dear. Okay, so using the same method of allocating a number and then using the random number selector, Archie is the winner of that. So Archie, are you I think Archie's still there, are you?
Can you hear me?
There we go.
It's not Archie. I'm actually using my son's. It's Alexis. I'm Alexis kind up. So I don't know if that disqualifies me.
So there you go.
Listen, Alexis, you used to be Alexis. You are now henceforth known as Archie.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Good. Less chance of being recognised.
There you go. It does mean you're in the Oldham event rather than the female wave.
Right, yeah, that's right. Wow.
So
there you go.
Alexa, are you okay if I share your details with Alan, and then Alan will get in touch and you can chat?
Absolutely, that's amazing.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Great
all right.
stuff.
So once I've got the contact details, I'll just get in touch and we'll just do it. Where do you live, Alexis?
Well, I live in Durham, northeast England.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll get you on a Zoom call.
Yeah, amazing. That's great.
Have you signed up for the race yet, Alexa? Yeah.
Not yet, no, but the pressure's on now.
Excellent, excellent.
There you go.
Okay. Any last?
Rude not.
Say again.
Exactly.
Any other questions anybody's got for Alan or myself on any of the? Hopefully you found that useful, but fire any questions into the chat just now while we're finishing off. Just a couple of things to finish off. So if you go onto our website, you'll see aberfeldytriathlon.com. It's over the years we've developed this festival weekend, and we're opening the festival weekend on the Friday evening with a trail run, and it's a stunning trail run. It's a 10-kilometer trail run that goes up onto Drummond Hill and then comes back down onto the river bank, onto the River Tay, and follows the River Tay all the way back into Kenmore. And the idea really is on the back of that, is to create sort of like an opening evening where if people are up for the whole weekend, they can come along. We've got a pizza van there. We're going to have a local microbrewery, Wasted Degrees, there with some beer. And we'll have some music going on, all in the recreation ground, and hopefully it'll be a beautiful night, and it'll just be a nice start to the weekend. And then we've got we own an open water swimming brand called Go Swim, and we've got 3 different venues. We've got Go Swim Loch Tay happening on the Saturday. Various distances of swims, all from the the novice come and try distance of 250 meters all the way up to the marathon distance of 10k open water. So we've got all that going on the Saturday, and then obviously Sunday's the big day for you guys for the triathlon. So if at all you're thinking you're going to come with family, friends, a group or anything, we're hoping we've got something for everybody over the weekend, and we're really trying on this Sunday also to bring the event village to life. Again, we'll have the guys from Wasted Degrees Brewery there. They'll have some draft beer and some cans for people to take away, for drivers, for those who are driving to take away. We'll have pizza. We'll have Cool Beans, who are the fantastic. We've got a fantastic coffee van and cakes and things, and then we'll have some music going on and stuff. So really trying to create that finish line atmosphere for you guys of completing your challenge, your own challenges, your own personal challenges. Really sort of big up that finish line atmosphere. So hopefully it'll be a fun weekend there. So yeah. So any last minute questions from anybody? Somebody's put there, what's the deadline for signing up? So it's a good point, that. Let me just double check. The closing date for entries is the Sunday before. So that will be the 11th of August. That will be the closing date for entries. Yeah. Okay. But if you can, it does make things easier for us if you do enter early. So if you can enter as early as you can, I totally understand where we're at, financially, economically, planning and all the rest of it. I totally understand that. But if people can, it just helps our planning, and so we know what we're planning for logistics wise. Any last minute comments from you, Al?
What I was going to say, yeah, I was just thinking, we've obviously there's only 11 of us on the call now, right? And we've got someone who's won a prize, but I'm sensing there's a couple of you are a little bit kind of, I don't know when. Means it's like I'm not quite sure when I get on. So if anybody who's on wants to chat further about stuff, what I'd be prepared to do is get one of my guys, either myself or one of the guys, just to give you a free consultation. So we would spend about an hour, roughly 45 minutes, just chatting with you about, what are you concerned about, where are you at, is it sensible for you, or how would you set your expectations for the day, that sort of stuff. Quite happy to do that, just to kind of provide a little bit more support if anybody wants to avail themselves of that.
Thanks very much, Al. That's great. What I'll do is I'll share I'll send out tomorrow. I'll send out a copy of the presentation we did, and I'll send out that and a link to the recording for those people who signed up but didn't jump on the call tonight. And then I'll include Alan's Triathlonworkx email address there in that feedback, and you can reach out to Alan individually to set that up. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. It's just, if anybody thinks it's of value, then great. And it's, that'd be great. That'd be great. Okay, right. Okay, so I've just got myself a whole bunch of work for next week then.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I might need to split it. So there are 4 of us. So it's not like I have to do them all myself. But it just gives you a chance to just kind of chat things through, and all the guys. Like Alistair, myself, and Sean have all been involved with triathlon for more than 30 years. Mm-hmm. And like my claim to fame, actually, and I trot this one out quite regularly, is I have both been on the podium at Aberfeldy, and I have also finished last. So yes. I think I know what it looks like at both ends of the spectrum. Yes. So yeah, they were taking the signs down as I wasn't even running, I was walking, I was coming along the road, and there's a guy in a van taking the run route signs down, and some smarty pants came up in his car and said, "How are you doing, mate? Would you like a lift?" I will not repeat my reply at that point in time. So there you go.
Emma, you had you got your hand up there for a question.
Sorry. I actually meant to do a thumbs up, sorry, but whilst I'm here, can I switch that off? Is my hand still on?
Oh, was that just a thumbs up? Was it?
It was, but actually, I don't know if anybody here has done it before. I've actually done the triathlon 3 times in a row now, but I'm still a complete novice. It was the first triathlon I ever did.
Oh, wow.
And I just want to say to anyone who's sitting there thinking, oh, I can't do it, and all of that, I would honestly say just go for it, because I came 6th from last when I did it. I was walking, they were packing up the cones, got a shout out when I crossed the line, I think because the guy was just glad to go home. And the 2 months before I did it, I was calculating cut-off times every single day, trying to work out if I was ever going to make it. And honestly, it's the best event. Everyone's really friendly. Richard's it's like a well-oiled machine in terms of organisation. I can't fault it as an event. I think it's brilliant. So if that counts for anything. And also Alan met me at the track last year and taught me how to stop and start my bike, because believe it or not, I can cycle, but only when I'm already moving. And I fall off if I have to stop, and I fall off if I have to start. So thank you to Alan for sorting that out for me. So that's a bit of a shout out to his training methods. But yeah, just honestly, such a great event. I wouldn't have done it another 2 times after. And the only reason I haven't signed up so far is because I broke my toe, and I'm struggling to train. So that's why I'm kind of umming and ahhing. But yeah, just go for it, honestly. That would be my top tip.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Emma. That's great. That's good. Okie doke. I think we've just got a few just general last comments in there, but
yeah,
great stuff.
There's one question there saying what you've said about the run off the bike. I suspect I'm doing too much running after the bike. Some clarity would be useful. That's one of those classic coaching questions that is answered with the phrase "it depends." So it depends on a whole range of factors, and yeah, it depends on how you feel, how much damage you do yourself, what your training looks like the day after you've, so say you do something mad, and we've all done it. Yeah, I'm going to do a long brick today. So, I've been there. I've done like 80-mile bike rides and 10-mile runs off the back of them as a regular staple diet. I didn't get any faster. I just got tireder.
Yes.
And in fact, Natalie, who won the Scottish Triathlon Championships last year, she said, I used to ride my bike every day, and now I ride my bike 3 times a week, and I'm 20 to 30% quicker than I was when I was doing too much.
Yeah.
So, doing more is not necessary. Doing the right level depends on what you've been doing before, what your background does, how much damage it does to you, how fast you recover, what kind of job you've got. Daft as it might seem, if you're working shifts, or if you've got a fairly pressured 9-to-5 that's not really a 9-to-5 because you're there at 8 and you leave at 6, and there's all sorts of different factors. So that one would be, that's a topic for a chat about, just to try and give you a steer in the right direction. All right.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the call. Really appreciate everybody coming on and being part of the webinar. You've been very interactive. I think Alan and I have enjoyed the chat that you put in and your engagement. So thanks so much. I hope you sign up, and we'll look forward to seeing you in August. And I'll send all that follow-up information through tomorrow. You'll get that through tomorrow. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
if there's no further questions, we'll head off. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.
Okay.
August.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks a lot. Cheers. See you later. Oh,
Cheers, Al.
there we go. Oh. All right. That went quite well. A bit long, but cool.